Hi everyone, here's a quick update on where things stand this afternoon. And starting with the US dollar, April's inflation number came in a little bit softer than expected for the third straight month. The annual CPI slowed to 2.3%, just below the forecast of 2.4%. And while the monthly number did rise slightly, it still missed the expectations. And core inflation also eased a bit, though the housing costs remain sticky. The main driver behind the drop is the lower energy prices. But with oil climbing again and new tariffs on the horizon, future inflation readings could be a little bit more complicated. And the markets didn't react too strongly. The Treasury yields held steady around 4.5 and the dollar index pulled back slightly, not because of the panic, but more likely some profit taking after the recent strength. And overall, this data didn't really move the needle on rate cut expectations, but it did calm fears of inflation hitting back up. Now over to crude oil. WTI crude has been holding firm, trading near recent highs as the global markets cheer a 90-day US and China tariff truce. The agreement is fueling the optimism about trade and demand, and it is helping to keep the oil price supported. There's also growing chatter about whether US oil production has already peaked. Some say lower prices could curb output, while others believe production will hold steady. Either way, the analysts agree that a sharp decline in US output isn't likely just yet. And then there's OPEC. Saudi Arabia is reportedly frustrated with some members producing more than they should. And while there's talk of action, nothing concrete has surfaced so far. So for now, bullish sentiment remains, with demand optimism and supply risk both in play. And finally, gold. Gold prices recovered a bit on Tuesday after the sharp sell-off at the start of the week. By midday US trading, gold was back on the rise, with silver tagging along as well. The weaker US dollar and firm oil prices gave gold some breathing room, and the CPI data didn't shake the markets too much, but because it wasn't an inflation scare report, it actually helped to reinforce the current outlook. One that the Fed doesn't need to tighten further, but also isn't rushing to cut. So while gold is still finding its footing after the Monday's drop, the backdrop for precious metals remain relatively supportive, especially with the inflation staying in check and geopolitical risks still lingering in the background. So that's all for your market snapshot. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next update.